So this is a short demonstration on the functions and features of our cadence computers. And also we're going to demonstrate how to program the computers. We have a wireless computer and a wired version, and both have the same functionality, and you would program both the same. For the wireless computer, it would have two wireless sensors, one for speed and one for cadence. And for the wired version, you would have a wiring harness, and the signal goes from the sensor through the wire to the handlebar mount and then to the computer. When you first get the computer and turn it on by pressing one of the buttons, you'll get a screen like this. And on the third line, it has two letters, which says WS, which is wheel size, and the fourth line is the value for wheel size, and the default value is 2124. Now, if you haven't determined what your wheel size is already, you could see our video on how to determine wheel size or wheel factor on our website in the frequently asked questions section for bike computers. At this point, we assume you already determined your wheel size, which is the circumference of the wheel in millimeters. In this case, we decided that our wheel circumference is 2230, so we're going to program the computer for that value. And to do that, you press the right key until you get to the value of 0 for the last digit. And to move to the next digit, you press the left button and you see the 2 is flashing. So now we want to change that to a 3. We press the right button and now you have 3. Once again, press the left button and it advances to the next digit. We're going to press the right button, value 2, and then we're going to press the left button and the 2 is flashing. So we've now programmed our wheel size to 2230. Now if you press the left button again, it will take you to units, and you'd have kilometers an hour, and if you press the right key you get miles per hour. So it toggles between kilometers an hour and miles per hour. We want kilometers an hour, so we're going to press the right button again and get kilometers an hour. And now we're going to press the left button to go to the next part of the setup. And you have an option for a 24-hour clock or a 12-hour clock. We like 12-hour clocks, so we're happy with that. And then we press the left button and that moves it to time setup. Right now we're going to say it's 4:15, so we're going to press the right button to advance the hours to 4. And then we're going to press the left button and that will make the minutes flash, so we're going to change that to 15 by pressing the right button. And now it's 4:15, so now we're going to press the left button and it takes us back into the regular computer mode, and setup and programming is completed. Now if you finish programming it and then you realize you made a mistake or you want to change something, it's very easy to get back into the programming mode. You simply press both buttons at the same time, and then all the elements on the screen will light up after about 5 seconds, something like this, and then you will be back into the setup mode, and the values should be the same as what they were when you first finished programming it. Unless, of course, you pull up the battery, then it will be reset to stock values. And once again, the right key changes the value of the flashing element, and the left key or button moves it to the next digit. So we're happy with the programming, so we're just going to hit the left key or button a bunch of times until we get out of programming mode. There we are, back to the main screen. So sometimes you might want to change the values of your clock, odometer, or wheel size, and you may not want to go into the programming mode. So there's an easy way to do that, and what you need to do is go into the clock screen. To get into the clock screen, you press the right button and that will toggle you through the different screens. So I have to press it twice now, and as you see on the third line it says CLK, which is clock. And in this screen you can press and hold the left button for about 5 seconds, and then as you see the clock will be flashing, and you could go ahead and program this. Say it's 5:18 because of daylight savings time. We're going to press the right button and toggle it to 5:18. Press the left button and that'll go to the minutes. If we want to change that, we can do that by pressing the right key, but we're happy with that. And then we can press the left key again, and now you can actually program your odometer. So if you had another bike computer and so far this year you've accumulated 1,000 kilometers, you can actually go ahead and program the odometer to have that value. So very similar to all the other programming, the right button changes the value that's flashing, and then the left button moves to the next digit so it flashes. And let's say we want 1,000 kilometers on here. We go to this value because you see the little period there. That'll be, if we press the right button, it'll be 1,000.0 kilometers. We press the left button now, and that'll toggle us through to wheel size. And we're happy with our wheel size. We haven't changed our bike wheel or tires or anything, so it's still valid. So we're going to be happy with that. So we'll press the left button and a few times, and that'll bring us back to the main screen. And that's how you can adjust your clock, odometer, and wheel size. And now we're going to do a run through on the functions on all the different screens. The top two lines are always the same. The top line is your cadence and RPM. The second line is your speed, and you could program kilometers an hour or miles per hour in the setup mode. And there's a plus or negative sign on the second line, and that indicates if your current speed is currently above or below your average speed. If your current speed is above the average speed, you'll get a plus. If it's below, you'll get a negative. The distance will be in kilometers, since we have kilometers an hour as our units for speed. And then the bottom line is your trip timer, and that's in hours, minutes, and seconds. And if you stop riding your bike for a few minutes, the timer will stop and it will no longer accumulate time. So if you took a 5-minute break, the timer stops. You start riding again, it will start up again. And so that will give you your total ride time, not including breaks. Also, the computer has an auto start function. So if you stop for a break and for over 5 minutes, the computer will turn off. And if you started riding again and you forget to turn on your computer, then you have a whole bunch of data that could be lost. But with our computers, you don't actually have to press a button to get it going again. You just start riding and the computer will turn on, and I'll show you kind of how that works. Basically, I'll simulate you riding by passing a magnet past the sensor, and within a minute the computer will turn on, so you won't lose any data and you'll start accumulating time again. So that's a really handy function on our new computers. If you want to get to the next screen, you press the right button and it will bring you into the second screen, and the top two rows are identical. The third row is your average speed, and that will be in kilometers per hour, and then your maximum speed will be in kilometers an hour, assuming that your main units are kilometers an hour. If you press the right button again, you will get into the clock and odometer screen. Once again, the top two lines are the same. The third line is clock, and the fourth line is odometer. And if you press the right button again, you get into a scan screen. If you look at the second line, you see the word scan, and in this mode the bottom two rows will scan between all three screens. So distance timer, average speed and maximum speed, and then clock and odometer, and it'll keep on doing that until you want it to stop. And to make it stop, you press the right button and it will go into the distance and time screen. Also, in any screen, if you want to see what your average cadence is, you could press your left button and average cadence will flash on the top line, and there's a little icon that says average RPMs, and that's your average cadence. And that's the functions of the computer. So this is an explanation on how to clear out your trip distance, your trip timer, your average cadence value, and your maximum and average speed values after you finish going for a ride. It's very simple. Just press the right button until you get into the distance and timer screen. Then you press and hold the left button for a few seconds, and then the values will be erased. So if I press the left button, you'll see average RPM is cleared at 0, the trip distance is 0, the timer distance is 0, the average speed is 0, the maximum speed is cleared at 0, and of course the odometer stays what it is because it accumulates total distance. And that's it. It's pretty easy to clear out. So basically you just press and hold the left button when you're in the distance and trip timer screen. The bike computer and sensors are already pre-installed with the batteries. If you have to take the battery out and replace it either on the computer, or if you have the wireless version on the one of the sensors, it's very simple. I would just get a coin, something pretty big, a quarter or loonie or something, and you would just put it in a slot. You would turn it counterclockwise about a third of a turn, and then I would just bump it on the table or something, and then you would pop out the battery. And the battery would go in with the positive facing you if you're going to replace it. So you just pop it in, make sure it's in place, get the cap, put it back on, and there is a little seal on the inside here. You can't see it too well, but there is a little rubber seal, so make sure that's in place, and that'll make sure it's the unit's waterproof, and make sure it's clean. Sometimes you get dirt and grime build up on there, so make sure that's nice and clean. And then just put the cap on, position it so it sits in place flat, and then take your coin again and then turn it a bit until it locks. And that's how you change the battery on your computer. And when you do take out the battery and put it back in, it'll actually go into initialization screen, which looks like this, and all the data will be cleared out. And that concludes our video on the functions and features of our Cadence computer, our wired version, our wireless version, and how to program them.